How's it going, New World? Sethphir here, and I've seen a lot of requests in the comments to go over the arena bosses. We're talking about the Spriggan Arena, the Sirens Arena, and the Protectors Arena. So I'm going to put all three of those into one video today so that you can see a very fast and efficient kill for each. I'll talk about the mechanics as well as show you the reward box from each of the bosses. So we're going to try to get that all in one here. So let's go ahead and dive into the first boss, which is going to be the Spriggan. Alright, here we are in the first boss arena, the Spriggan, and I'm just going to go over a quick bit of consumables here. So you can see I have a honing stone, I have a weapon coating, and all of this stuff is going to be important. I also have trophies on, and so does my entire group, because the Spriggan is one of the bosses that can actually give people a bit of complications. This is the Monoecious Arena located in Eden's Grove, and I've seen several groups go in here and fail to meet the timer because this boss in particular has a bit of an annoying mechanic. He will go into a root cocoon and start regenerating his HP, and if you do not break that root cocoon, you will be in big trouble because he's going to fill up his life bar and you only get 15 minutes to kill him. So I've seen plenty of people time out. The best way to deal with this monster, since he is Angry Earth, would be fire damage and slashing damage, as well as making sure you have the proper party setup. Here I am running the Warhammer on the off setup, which is going to allow me to armor break and rend the monster, putting the full 30% debuff up, as well as my party consisting of 2 mages and 1 ranged damage dealer means that we will not have to deal with a lot of the pushback and knockback coming from Zygromet's AoE swings and abilities. He also likes to kind of pop in and out of the ground and launch people back, and especially when you get him low on health, he will sort of like super evolve his arm and start taking really wide swings across the entire map. So those are a few things to look out for. In my opinion, this boss is a bit of a mechanics check and a tiny bit of a preparation check, but more so preparation and party check than anything else. So having the right consumables, having the right trophies, and having the right party composition will basically determine whether or not you're going to be able to defeat this boss. In this scenario, I'm running the tank, so I'm just sword shield with leadership, giving my party a damage boost. My sole job is to put the full rend on the monster and tank the monster and get him away. Try to mitigate as much damage as possible, but mainly do as much damage as possible, and spend the most amount of time in sword shield as I can to give my party damage boost from this. Everything else is pretty simple and straightforward. He just kind of rinse and repeats his few mechanics. He can be a bit rough, to be honest, if you don't have the proper gear, but I think most people at this level probably have very solid gear, and especially if you're going to be attempting a boss like this, you should have quite a significant amount of weapons and armors to choose from at this point. Speaking of weapons and armor, it is a very good idea to have an Angry Earth Bane weapon, and I do have that on my sword here, so as well as putting in fire gems to your weapon, that's going to be a very good part of the preparation for this. The more damage you can convert out, the better it's going to be, but unfortunately as a tank, since we have to use the taunt gem, we can't use fire gem because we need the taunt gem to make our abilities even work. So it's a little bit of a sad story there, but everyone else will probably have a fire gem in their weapon, except for the fire mages, because you can't convert fire damage into fire damage. So that's how that one's going to work out. But as you can see, he's just kind of rinsing and repeating this process over and over. And a lot of these arenas are like this. This is the hardest arena, in my opinion. And we'll show you the drops from this guy here in a second. You can also look up all the drops on this. I know New World Database has a fantastic little like area where you can look up the reward chests. I believe this is called the Spriggan Reward Cache, so you can check that one out or look it up through that, and that will show you like what all the possible odds are from getting everything. But you're going to get a bit of gold, a bit of Azoth, of course a cistrine gypsum, as well as the cache at the end, and then it will teleport your group out. So as you can see, it took us about like, I don't know what, 3-4 minutes to kill that boss, somewhere around there, 3.5. You can kill these bosses really quickly. I've seen tons of groups come in here and fail, so that's also a thing. And as you can see, we just got a couple of greens for our trouble. Nothing super special, but it's something all in all. So now we'll go ahead and get ready to hop into our next boss, which should be the Protectors Arena. This is going to be another Angry Earth monster, so got some interesting stuff coming up there. So let's go ahead and hop on over to that. All right, and here we are in the Protector's Arena, and once again, this is going to be the same deal of consumables and trophies because this boss is also an Angry Earth boss. He seems to have the Protector's Reward cache, so you can look that one up if you want to see what's all in there. But there are some interesting goodies in these boxes, these arena chests that are coming out. It seems to be a lot of like resistance gear to certain types of enemies, which could come in handy for the mutations. So getting good practice in on these groups is going to be very nice to have going into January for that PTR for the mutations. So as you can see, we have the boss Avarice on our screen here. He used to be a lot bigger. They shrunk him a bit for some reason, I guess just to help with his hitbox. But this boss has a few mechanics. As you can see, these little like glowing white pylons around the arena. These are fail safes basically. The way this boss works is when you get him lower or after a certain amount of time happens, he will kind of go to sleep on the ground for a second and spawn a bunch of monsters in which he will AoE. And then if you do not kill those monsters by killing them, he will then eat them and gain power, and he starts to hit really hard. You don't want to see that. However, if you do activate one of the pylons on the side, that will shrink all of his stacks, so he will reset back down to 0. So that is a fail-safe mechanism. I'm assuming that this guy's power would be increased over time. Maybe he's going to have a mutation. Who knows? Maybe he'll have a difficulty mode. But as you can see, here's the first group of mobs, and this is going to be from the healer's perspective this time. I switched it up a little bit. So you're going to see, like, basically you're just going to keep your group alive here while they deal with these mobs. No problem, AoE the mobs down, then the boss is still asleep. You can keep hitting him, and then when he wakes back up, then he just goes back into his normal kind of combo deal. He kind of has like a triple hit combo like some of the other bosses from the Garden of Genesis. He also has this weird earth spiky trail thing that pops up randomly, but it doesn't seem to do entirely too much. And then like the other boss from Garden of Genesis, he'll try to pick up a giant tree trunk or something and throw it at somebody. So his kit's pretty familiar with the other bosses that look exactly like him, so he's not too difficult to deal with. The part where you run into trouble is if you do not eliminate the little zombie ads that spawn. That is where you will get into big trouble, and he will start one-shotting your tank because this guy will hit really hard when he's powered up. So especially if you're the healer, this would be the better play. You know, get in there with your Void Gauntlet, start doing some DPS, power up your teammates with Oblivion, and just kind of shred these monsters. If you work together as a team, you should be able to clear them out very quickly. So that should definitely go a long way. This boss was very fun. The first time we did this, we didn't have enough damage, so really making sure, just like with the Spriggan, that you have the trophies, you have Angry Earthbane weapons, you have the coding for Angry Earth, you have the Weapon Stone. All that stuff is just going to increase your damage phenomenally, and you're going to be able to sail through this with ease. All of these arenas are about preparation more than anything, and making sure you know you have the right party set up, just like we talked about with the Spriggan. I'd be interested to see what these kind of evolve into in the future, because so far it seems that each of these fights takes about 3 minutes for a pretty, prepared group, I would say. Something like that. I would like to see hard modes for these, especially maybe WoW has mythic mode, something just really challenging with great rewards. That would be fantastic because I'm always a fan of difficult boss fights. I definitely like that in terms of PvE content. So far they've been more like, hey, it's a DPS check or a preparation check. It's like, are you paying attention to the mechanics of the game at all? And if you are, then it's pretty much a free kill, right? So that's not going to be too shabby here. So now we'll go ahead and fast forward to the box opening for the Protector's Arena. Alright, and here we are with the Protector's equipment cache. So we're going to go ahead and open this and see what we get inside. Well, it looks like we did get a blue helmet with Corrupted Ward, but that seems to be the theme with a lot of these boxes. They want to try to give you Corrupted Ward or Lost Ward. Alright, that's going to be it for the Protector's Arena. It does teleport you on the other side of the arena, which is pretty cool. You can get to a spot above Lazarus Instrumentality, so it's nice to see. But we'll go ahead and move on to the Siren Queen. All right, next up here is the Siren Queen. We're going to go ahead and enter her lair. And the Siren Queen is a bit different. She is a lost monster, so you will need the lost weapon coding as well as lost trophies. So make sure that you adjust and kind of fix that out before you go here. So the Siren Queen is probably one of my favorite bosses. She sings a very nice song, which sadly won't be on here. But the whole fight just seems epic. I just wish they would do a bit more with her mechanics, sadly. But I would love to see her difficulty increase in the future. She's definitely a phenomenal boss, and there's a lot of room set up with the mechanics that she does have that can be quite nice. So as you can see, we're going to start off by pulling her to the left side of the room. Since she dashed across, we'll go ahead and taunt her on the side. And the reason why we do this is because there is a limited amount of space in the Siren's arena. We're doing the mechanics properly because we want to, not because we need to. We're probably going to kill her before this even matters. But you can see these glowing spears kind of in the area with a circle radius AoE. They're going to do continual damage, and they will eventually cover the entire platform if you let this fight, go on long enough. But you don't have to do that, and there is one final mechanic that will allow you to deal with the spears in the event that you don't have enough damage or whatever the case may be. There is a glowing orb or lightning ball that she will send after a player, and when that lightning ball is traveling towards you, if you drag it across the area where the spear is, the spear will dissipate and it will go away. So this would be a way to recover lost ground if your DPS was lacking for some way, shape, or form, or also if you happen to encounter a harder version of this fight in the future, you would be able to drag that lightning orb through the areas and eliminate some of those spears. I'm guessing that the rate of the spears is probably going to go up, and kind of maybe some crazy stuff like that. But again, this fight will be from the healer's POV, but what I like to do here is put the sacred ground on the tank and then put my orb or my beacon towards the back just for the range to recover their damage. And there you can see that little lightning orb. It just kind of homes in on a player and it'll go towards them slowly. That's the thing that you would drag into the other area. Also, don't mind our archer over here. He had to tab out in the middle of this fight to, subscribe to Sethphir on YouTube. I think that was what he was doing. So he's definitely doing some interesting stuff in the back. We had some pretty fun with this fight and this encounter, to be honest. But like I said, each of these bosses takes about 3 to 4 minutes, I would say. They're not too challenging in the current state of the game without mutations, without difficulty modes or anything like that. The reward boxes seem alright, and you're supposed to get a gypsum upgrade from this, but since we have, or sorry, not gypsum upgrade, expertise upgrade, you will get the gypsum, which I guess is an expertise upgrade. But since we are all pretty much capped on everything except for jewelry, we weren't seeing any expertise upgrades, and I think it's because the boss's reward chest doesn't actually have jewelry in it. None of these arena bosses have jewelry. They're all armor or weapons, right? And most of them are themed to deal with the type of monster that you're killing. So the Siren Queen will drop a lot of armor against Lost or something like that, and also Lost Bane weapons, and that seems to be what she kind of generates, where the Angry Earth bosses will kind of gravitate towards that Angry Earth protection and Angry Earth damage. So it looks like it's building you up to prepare for something in the future, sort of, which is interesting. I like the way that is kind of set up, because it gives me a good idea of what they're aiming at for future content. So all in all, these fights were definitely really fun to do. I hope that gives you a good overview of the mechanics of each of those, because I know it can give some people some trouble, especially if your gear is not quite there. It can be quite challenging because these are all DPS checks in essence. So you either do or do not have the damage to do the fight, most likely is what's going to happen. But I'm excited to see some of the interesting content coming into the future. And I think this principle of how you prepare for these arenas is going to be exactly how the rest of the game is going to go. Alright, and here we have the lost equipment cache. As you can see, quite a few items, nothing too fun in particular. Alright, thanks for watching everyone. Make sure to subscribe, like, and hit the bell button down below. We also have a join button if you're interested in becoming a member today, and a Discord in the description link if you want to follow the channel and keep up to date with everything for more guides and information like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.